Right-hand drive ordering is expected to begin this week. Tesla files a restraining order against a detractor. Elon and the SEC are copacetic with each other again, for now. And Panasonic may be adjusting overseas production for Tesla. This is Tesla Tidbits episode number 517 for April 20th, 2019. This show is sponsored by my supporter Richard. If you're in the market for a Model S, X, or 3, please consider using his referral code. Ask your salesperson to use code Richard174 or go direct to the web link ts.la/Richard174 and pick up a 5,000-mile supercharging credit for your new vehicle. We start the week with some good news for folks in the UK, Australia, and other right-hand drive markets. Elon made your days with a tweet last week saying, quote, UK Model 3 order page goes live next week, followed shortly thereafter by Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Hong Kong, end quote. At long last, right-hand drive folks get to have their day, and it looks like the fun begins in the UK this week. Once this is complete, Model 3 is finally completely launched, just shy of 2 years from initial deliveries. The next story comes from first-hand experience as I opened my Tesla app to see that Tesla has boosted the benefits of the Referral Program. New referrals will now get 5 times the benefit, picking up 5,000 miles of free supercharging, as well as those referring getting 5 entries to the Model Y and Roadster drawings. And yes, those already with the unlimited supercharging benefit increase their entries to 10 as well. This is stated to be a limited time benefit though. The bonus ends in a month on May 28th. Exactly 100 episodes ago, I told you about an alleged sabotage incident at the Fremont factory, and I thought that was as strange as it could get when reporting about Tesla. Teslarati reports that I was wrong by a long shot. Prior to the Autonomy Day event last week, Tesla served a restraining order to one of its longtime critics, Randeep Hathi, aka @Skabushka on Twitter, after attempting to interfere with an apparent full self-driving test of a Model 3 equipped with numerous conspicuous cameras. From the restraining order request by Tesla, quote, on April 16, 2019, respondents stalked, harassed, and endangered 3 Tesla employees who were driving on the highway in a Tesla-owned Model 3 vehicle bearing manufacturer plates and mounted with camera equipment. In particular, a respondent pursued these employees on the public highway for about 35 minutes, variously driving ahead of, beside, and behind them, and swerving dangerously close to the vehicle. Respondents swerved so close to the side of the Tesla that the vehicle's side collision avoidance safety feature was triggered to engage an emergency maneuver to avoid the collision, end quote. But this wasn't the only time that Hathi has allegedly had run-ins with Tesla employees per the restraining order. Quote, in February 2019, respondent hit Tesla's security employee Tyler James with his car as Mr. James approached respondent to ask him to leave Tesla's private property. Mr. Tyler suffered minor injuries. The respondent did not stop and fled the scene. The Fremont Police Department were called and arrived on the scene. The department later attempted to issue respondent a warning notice of trespass, but was unsuccessful because respondent has avoided and been uncooperative in meeting with Fremont police officers, end quote. The article notes that the order remains in effect through May 7th when a hearing is set. The order prevents Hathi from being within 100 yards of the Fremont factory or employees named in the order, as well as 10 yards away from any Tesla vehicle with manufacturer plates within 5 miles of the factory. I don't cover the detractor crowd much, and for good reason, as they're mostly harmless loudmouths. But in this is a whole next level of crazy. For his part, the @Skabushka Twitter account, which Hathi is believed to be the owner of, tweeted the following after the order became public, quote, I will not rest. This is my promise. Tesla is a zero. @Elon Musk will go to prison, end quote. Bloomberg reports that Elon and the SEC have reached an agreement regarding his Twitter usage. The SEC had taken Elon to court claiming contempt, but the judge was pretty much having none of it and told both sides to, quote, put on their reasonableness pants, end quote, and reach an agreement among themselves. The parties have indeed reached an agreement, amending the language of the initial court settlement to say that Elon must obtain legal approval to tweet about the following topics: the company's financial condition, potential mergers or acquisitions, production and sales numbers, new or proposed business lines, projections and forecasts that haven't been previously published, and Musk's purchase or sale of Tesla securities. We head back to Teslarati for our last story about Panasonic, which is rumored to be adjusting production in Japan for Tesla. An unnamed source told Reuters that Panasonic would make adjustments to production lines in Japan to allow them to produce 2170 cells rather than the 18650 cells that normally flow from the facility. If this is true, this is a big development. During the last earnings call, Elon had noted that Powerwall production had suffered because they needed the cells for Model 3. This conversion would be interesting on two fronts. First of all, it would eliminate the battery as any bottleneck for Model 3 production. But the other interesting bit would be that it would also be at the expense of Model S and Model X cells, which would lead me to wonder whether the recent drivetrain refresh isn't necessarily complete, and that all vehicles would share the same cell chemistry, which I believe is more of a matter of when than if, despite Elon's public statements otherwise. This is something I will keep a close eye on, as I believe with the addition of the 2170 cells to the new motors, the big cars will be far and away the leaders of EV range. That is it for today's show. Thanks very much to the super patrons supporting the show at the $10 plus level over at patreon.com/Tesla Tidbits. They are Drew Schuyler, John Waller, Ryan Scarborough, Lee Sweet, William Henry Crew III, Dorian Steve Guberman, Bruno Kundichi, Joey Boots, Ralph and Cheryl Waterhouse, Adam Reimer Brown, Megawatt Photovoltaic Development, Todd Sullivan, Robert Healy, Mitch Long, Zortec LED Canada, Morven Ogg, Blake Thompson, Raymond and Deborah Malkowitz, T Sportline, Michael Pastroni, Travis and Cheyenne Rush, Cookie UK, Chris Hovis, Craig Murphy, Vicky Kirk, Ricky Johnston, Bien Concepcion, Nathan Garza, Paul Gaona, and Ed Patterman. If you have feedback for me, the best way to be heard is to tweet at Tesla Tidbits and use the hashtag AskTeslaTidbits if you'd like your question to be considered for the show. I'll see everyone back here again on Wednesday. Until then, keep it charged and hit the road.